Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, especially if you love college football as much as I do. Another bowl game. ACC versus SEC. Vanderbilt will take on Georgia Tech in their bowl. I think it's the Birmingham Bowl, right? Vanderbilt, shout out to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has had a heck of a season. Now, I understand 6-6 is not exactly a great year or anything like that, but Vanderbilt never goes to bowl games, according to recent history. So I'm very happy for what they've done this year. They did start their season off knocking off Virginia Tech in a game where Lee Corso was the only person on College Game Day that picked them to win. And, of course, they embarrassed Alabama and made Alabama so mad that Malachi Moore refused to get off the field. So I was happy about that. They, of course, had won 6 games. They also lost 6 games. Now let's look at Georgia Tech. Not much better record-wise, but they also had some pretty good moments this year. Georgia Tech finishing 7-5. They knocked off a top 10 Florida State team at the time, who was number 10. I obviously wouldn't know what they turned out to be, but on paper, let's go to a top 10 win. Speaking of top 10, they knocked off another top 10 team, a more legit team this past year, in the Miami Hurricanes by making Cam Ward fumble, recovering the fumble, and be able to eat up the clock and get out of there with a big W at home. So that was a really big win for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech did lose some more games, but obviously being 7-5 is really good for them considering what they used to be. So 2 programs that are kind of building themselves back together. Haynes King is another really good football player. I like both quarterbacks in this game. Diego Pavia is a beast. He can run and throw and do whatever he wants to do. He can even urinate on people's logos. Look it up. It's true. The New Mexico thing that he was a part of. And speaking of running, Haynes King loves to run the football. He's a tough guy. He ran through a lot of teams. He gave them a chance when they played Georgia about a month ago and they lost. But it was a great game, and he was a part of that. So he's a really good football player. To me, it came down to, because they both play very similar styles. They both got mobile quarterbacks with a big arm. Neither pass defense is very good. But for me, it came down to the physicality, and it came down to the line of scrimmage, who I thought had the advantage. I know SEC usually beats the ACC, but I don't think that'll be the case this time. I truly think Georgia Tech is the tougher team out of the 2 teams. I believe their defensive front is better than Vanderbilt's defensive front. And although I don't think this will be a blowout by any means, I have to go with Georgia Tech here to win this game over Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia is a good player. But the problem is Georgia Tech went and brought in a really good defensive coordinator from Duke, who was under Mike Elko and his coaching staff at Duke last year. And while the pass defense for for Georgia Tech isn't very good, their defensive line is really good. And if they manage to bottle up and slow down Diego Pavia, they should win this game. Plus, Georgia Tech, all they do is run the football and eat up clock and just control the line of scrimmage and run for a lot of touchdowns. So give me Georgia Tech to win this game. Georgia Tech 38, Vanderbilt 27.